Welcome back. It's time now to have our quick press review, and we are going to start immediately as we do have a lot of banners to discuss. But before we start, let me first welcome our dear guest live here in the studio, Dr. Hala Enara, our political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us, ma'am, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
And we are going to start from Al-Ahram, where we read, launching the work today in Zohr gas well. The international companies expect huge projects to take place in Egypt after the improvement in the atmosphere of investments. The CEOs of Eni and General Electric say to the Al-Ahram newspaper, the discoveries of the gas shall change the face of the whole region. The CEO of Eni says El-Sisi and the Egyptian government present a great example of quick path in negotiations that we have not seen in any other countries. Here I should say congratulations to all Egyptians regarding this. And inshallah it's going to be a first step in many other discoveries, because this is what the experts have said. But what's going to be the impact of these discoveries and these new gas production on the Egyptian economy?
It is supposed to provide all the needs of Egypt, all gas needs of Egypt, and there will be some gas to be sold outside Egypt. So it will stabilize economy sector, it will stabilize industry that depends on gas to a great extent, and it will provide money supply to the economy.
Inshallah. But let's take this as an example, because what was really important here, not the gas discovery, but the statements by any CEO, when he said that we did not have any difficulties having the negotiations with the Egyptian executives, because I think that this is a new era, far from bureaucratic procedures, far from the issues which we are fighting at the moment in some other parts within the economic group.
Lagging.
Yeah, and this is why some investors, or at least in some fields, we are in need to get rid of these bureaucratic issues to invite more investments to come to Egypt.
Yes, in fact, we need a new system to deal with Egyptians and with foreigners. And it's more important, of course, for investors. We must ease for them how to deal with the government, how to get their permits, how to start their projects so easy, so they don't escape to other countries. I once saw in China, there was a conference for investors, and one of the American investors was coming out saying that they prepared everything. I just pour money. I am not asked to do anything else, and it's very quick and very easy. We are supposed to do the same, because Egypt has many challenges and many chances at the same time, and we need investors, so we must ease life for them.
Inshallah. And moving to Al-Masri Al-Yawm, where we continue to read from its front page, terrorism is eating itself in Sinai. Accusations of cooperating with the security personnel, tit-for-tat kidnap operations destroys the so-called Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis. Differences increase between the two groups in Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis terrorist group in northern Sinai. A number of its leading figures are accused of informing on the two leaders of the terrorist group who were killed recently. Congratulations. Do you think that this is the work of our intelligence, or this is normal because it's not going to continue this way in Sinai, or it's just to say that evil cannot continue forever? What?
Intelligence may have a hand, but at some point they must fight for power. It is expected. It is now or tomorrow. They must fight for power. So they started, and this is good for our security forces, of course, and for Egypt.
For the whole world.
Yes.
Moving to Al-Yawm Al-Saba, where we read the president refuses to ratify the final of the budget and calls for its modification. The presidency returns the draft law to the Ministry of Finance to be ratified, executing the notice which aim at returning £16 billion in subsidies of the energy sector. I think that this is not the first time the president has taken this procedure.
Yes, yes.
Do we have any reasons?
Maybe he doesn't like the way it is presented. It needs some modifications, and there are certain targets for Egypt at the moment. The government needs to work better and to work quicker and to save some
Why
money,
I'm asking this
to
question
save some money
specific.
from many sectors, not only the power sector.
I mean, whenever this step is taken now, meaning that the parliament is going to have a role in the in ratifying the final draft of the budget.
Yes, the parliament is supposed to ratify the budget.
I mean, don't you think that this step taken by the president is for the parliament to take one of the missions he was unfortunately shouldering all over the past year because there was no parliament, so he preferred to do this now to give the parliament a chance to choose for the Egyptians, as the parliamentary members are the choice of the Egyptians?
Of course, of course. The parliament must shoulder some responsibilities the president is taking now. The president must have more time for more pivotal issues.
Yes.
He is not supposed to be dealing with everything. The must shoulder a responsibility. The parliament must shoulder some part of the responsibility. The people must shoulder their part of responsibility. It is not possible that he keeps running all the time, working all the time with all people just watching.
Yeah. Back to Al-Ahram front page, and we read, the meetings of the Renaissance Dam kick off in Khartoum tomorrow. The upcoming round of talks is described by experts as decisive. Still with the same issue from Al-Masri Al-Yom, we read, the six-way meetings of the Renaissance Dam tackle the signing of a governing document and urging governmental plan to achieve social justice and facing challenges. The so-called Renaissance Dam. And just 48 hours ago, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a meeting with our top diplomat, Sameh Shukri, and the Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources, Dr. Hissam Eddin al-Mughazi, to prepare for this round of talks. It's going to be the round number 10. And without being an expert, I described this round of talk in specific as being that much decisive.
Yes, because even the International Organization for Rivers said that this dam will harm Egypt. And it was unnecessarily very big. It is not effective to build such a big dam because it will not work effectively 12 months
a year,
all round the year. It is supposed to work very effective or 100% for just 3 months.
A season.
And they cannot keep working all the time at the same rate. So there was no need at all to build so very big high dam, and even this organization said that it is a political dam, not for economic reasons.
And because of this, I was asking about this round of talks in specific after this meeting
very
between
dangerous,
President al-Sisi and our two ministers. Do you think that in this specific meeting they have taken instructions or directives from the President that this round of talks should have some concrete or tangible results on the ground for the best interest of the Egyptians without any more delays or postponements from the Ethiopian side?
It's a must.
It's a must.
They must do that because Ethiopia has been procrastinating and wasting time and pushing the efficient bureau that was working on the high dam. I mean technical studies. They were pushing this bureau away to bring their bureau that is cooperating with them and doing everything in their interest, in the interest of Ethiopia alone.
In their favor. Yeah.
There must be a result at this round of talks.
Yeah. And to the regional of the World Bank saying Egypt is on the right track. Sharif Ismail, the program of the government aims at improving services and 25% discount of the prices of food goods in the supermarkets. Our Prime Minister Ismail also had met on Thursday with the investors responsible to have hypermarkets or chains of hypermarkets, and it's going to be distributed all over Egypt. And he also spoke yesterday about the program of the government. Also, he met with His Excellency Hossein Kamal, the Minister of Civil Aviation, to make sure that all procedures are taken to have all our airports on the international level, with the international standards, without any missing parts of this story. So how do you see the performance of the government?
In fact, they are working on the vital issues. Security is very important for tourism, and tourism is very important for Egyptian economy. What Egypt is losing is a benefit for other countries in the region. We must be working very quickly to regain our share of tourism, because if we lose it for a long time, it will be very difficult to bring it back again.
Yeah.
And for goods and for these discounts, in fact, we must congratulate the supply minister. He stabilized the market, and he solved many problems that caused Egyptians to be killed in lines for bread or in lines for gas cylinders, for example.
But this was under Morsi. I mean, we have not seen this recently.
Yes, I say this minister is very successful.
Yeah.
He solved
His Excellency
dangerous
Dr.
problems.
Hanafi. Yes.
Yes.
And back to Al Masri Al-Yawm, where we read the last-minute nominations of the deputies committees. Amr for the National Security, Al-Arabi for Foreign Affairs. The last minutes before holding the first session of House of Representatives revealed an agreement on a number of committees at the Parliament. General Kamal Amr was chosen to head the Committee of Defense and National Security. Ambassador Muhammad Al-Arabi was chosen to head the Committee of the Foreign Relations. The same issue is tackled in Al-Yawm Al-Saba. 3 parties and 15 independent from the opposition in the Parliament. Al-Badawi says, we shall not return to in support of Egypt or تحالف دعم الدولة. The merging consultations continue between Al-Wafd, Reform and Development, and the Future. The new Parliament and the failure of this in support of Egypt coalition and the divisions inside the very same parties. Do you think that this is an indication that this Parliament is going to enjoy unity, or that we are going to witness disputes inside the Parliament, or this is what we call democracy, even if it is not introduced to the Egyptians in image than what we have dreamed of?
Of course, democracy means differences between parties, but our parties do not work like parties outside, because parties outside know that the interest of the country is number one mission for them. Our parties do not understand that. They fight for positions, for committees, for who is chairing what, and they don't think of, in fact, they don't, I feel, they don't think of Egypt, they don't think of Egyptians, they don't think of the people who chose them. They are just fighting for themselves. And I don't say they must be united, but they must be united behind one target. That's making Egypt better, helping Egypt to proceed, and stop this lagging. Egypt must be proceeding with laws, for example, that must be enacted. With the budget, we have been just talking about the budget. With many projects,
the performance of the government, with monitoring this performance, with having all the missions of a parliament of a country like Egypt, which is starting a new era in every single aspect of life.
And monitoring the government.
After 4 years of political turmoil, if you permit me.
Monitoring the government in the meaning of not stalling the government, not stopping its work, but pushing it ahead.
Yes.
Yes, and pushing the interests of the people.
Back to Al-Ahram front page, where we read, the army and the resistance are 20 kilometers away from Sana'a. The campaign, Thank You Mother of the World, raises a photo of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Aden. To have more details on the Yemeni file, we are going to live just for a few minutes with this detailed comprehensive report.
Fighting persisted between loyalists and Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen after the rebel leader urged supporters to resist pro-government forces intent on recapturing the capital Sana'a. The stance came after Yemen's warring parties on Sunday concluded UN-sponsored peace talks in Switzerland with no major breakthrough. However, they agreed to meet again on January 14th. Loyalist sources said at least 35 rebels were killed as pro-government forces pressed their offensive in Niam, 40 kilometers outside rebel-held Sana'a. Military and humanitarian sources said fighting raged in the west of the third city Taz, which is under rebel siege, preventing supplies from entering. During the peace talks, both sides had agreed to allow for a full and immediate resumption of humanitarian assistance into the capital of Taz province. Forces loyal to President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi see recapturing Taz province as key to regaining control of central and northern regions, including Sana'a province. The Houthis, a Shiite minority from Yemen's north, seized the capital Sana'a last year and then advanced south to second city Aden, forcing Hadi to flee to Saudi Arabia. Following territorial gains by loyalist troops backed by an Arab coalition, Hadi returned to Aden in November after 6 months in exile.
Welcome back. The Yemeni issue. And there are media reports saying that they are going to have on negotiating tables tangible results to end this crisis. But on the ground, this is different. Don't you think that this is contradictory to have negotiations and at the same time a truce is not implemented on the ground, and still we are losing every single day lives of civilians who are those who are paying the dear price?
This is happening in many places, in fact, in the Arab world, in Yemen, in Syria, in Libya, in Tunisia. It's happening in many places. It's fight for power.
Again.
No one cares for the country itself. No one cares for the national interest of the country. In Yemen, Houthis were Sunnah before, and they turned to be Shiite now. That means that someone tempted them, gave them some incentives to change their creed. And now they are fighting Sunnah, which belonged to them before. They belonged to Sunnah, and now they are not Sunnah, and they are fighting Sunnah. And it's out of religion. It's something that has no relation with
It's the politics game, which I'll never be able to
It's a political game and interest game.
Yes, ma'am. Right, you are. The last item, which was for today, comes from Al-Ahram front page, where we read, Black Christmas in Chicago against the brutality of the police. The churches of the world challenge violence and celebrate Christmas. The Pope of the Vatican calls for stopping the brutality and tight security in Egypt. Details in the coming group.
13th Paris attacks by extremists that left 130 people dead.
Welcome back. Black Christmas in Chicago against the brutality of the police.
Yes, maybe they need human rights organizations to teach American police how to deal with citizens, as they are doing everywhere in the world.
This is the American democracy, which we are not going to interfere in. But congratulations to all Christians all over the globe, and we hope that the coming year is going to be filled with mercy, peace, and security, far from what happened in 2015. Dr. Hala Enara, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for your input, and see you next year, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Well, by this we come to the end of our Press Digest. After the short break, we are going to be back with the remaining part of the breakfast show, so stay tuned only on Nile TV International.